I'm not a doctor. I don't think any doctor can fix this.
But I need to get him out of here.
No. Those cops are here from. I need to report this.
The cops have it wrong. He is a good man. He just got used by an evil prick.
This evil prick the one who put a shotgun to his head?
No, that was me, and I didn't have a choice.
Okay, I'm done.
I did have a choice, and I chose to survive.
You know, moving him might kill him.
Leaving him here will expose him. Look, I know that we scare you, and you've never seen anything like us. But this is a good man.
And you?
I'm an asshole. But help me or get out of my way.
You don't scare me. And you're not my first.
This is Panels to Pixels, Jessica Jones review, episode 13. Hey everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Mark.
I'm Steve.
And we're talking about Jessica Jones, Season 1, Episode 13, a.k.a. Smile.
AKA Smile. We finally made it. We're at the last episode of the first season. Everything finally comes to a head, sort of. And it's that last episode ended with such a bang. Well, I guess it was actually 2 episodes ago with the explosion, and then we have a gunshot at the end of the last episode. And so this one starts with Jessica because she's just did this point blank shot to the face, or under the chin, I guess is what we find out of Luke. She's bringing him to a hospital, and they can't help him. The nurse is breaking the needles on his arm, and the doctor's yelling at him. And then we meet the familiar face of Claire, who is our kind of guiding. We meet up with Claire, who's kind of one of our guiding characters through the Netflix Marvel universe, the NMU, so to speak. And she's working in the hospital there, and she sees Luke, and she realizes what he is, and so she's trying to help. And then Kilgrave catches up to them in the hospital, and he tries to stop Jessica using his newly strengthened powers by controlling everybody in the hospital. And then later on in the episode, he gets even stronger, and Jessica searches for him. She finally finds him. Claire and Malcolm, they take care of Luke, and then Jessica has her final confrontation with Kilgrave. And when we get into our top 5, I've got some thoughts about that. But did I miss anything there? We covered pretty much got it all. I didn't talk about the incident with the couple and Kilgrave's father, but I think we're going to get into that in our top 5.
Yeah, we'll actually get into that top 5 right about now.
And then there's the matter of your bill.
Well, why don't you go ahead and start with yours?
The hospital scene in the beginning with Jessica and Claire. Claire helping Jessica and Luke get out with Luke unconscious. Now, it's like, we all know Claire from Luke Cage and, Daredevil and everything else, but obviously if people have not watched the show, they're actually seeing Claire for the first time, and they're just watching this new show. But she kind of gives some subtle information about she's seen this before.
Yeah, I thought it was great that she doesn't even blink, or she kind of blinks a little bit when Jessica picks Luke up and puts him in the chair, and she's just like, okay, you're one of those too. That scene was so, and I don't know how they did it, CGI or whatever, but it was pretty cool to see her. You can see her skinny little arms underneath his gigantic body, and she's lifting him up and putting him in the wheelchair. I thought that was a great little scene. They're pushing him out, and I missed the first time I actually watched the episode. I missed when Jessica gives Claire the card that has her apartment on it, because she tells Claire that, oh, I live close, so we can take him to my place. Because Claire says, no, we're not taking him to my place. And she's like, well, I live close. And then as soon as she gets the call from Kilgrave, or the nurse at the station starts yelling at her, she realizes that it's Kilgrave on the phone. And so she gives Claire the card and tells her, get him out of here. And so then Claire leaves with Luke, because she realizes that Kilgrave, and this kind of goes right into my number 5, which was that the part of the hospital scene after that, when Luke and Claire leave. That was tense, man. When he's over the loudspeaker and he's got control of the TVs and he's showing everybody her picture and he's controlling them through the PA system. The woman with the bad hip is trying to get out of bed to attack Jessica, and Jessica's doing her best to not hurt people, because she knows these are just all innocent people that are being controlled. But it was tense, man.
Yeah, that was really intense. It was like trying to manipulate throughout the whole hospital and everything, trying to get away from everybody. Yeah, and she just kind of finally just is able to push her way through and get out, which I thought was kind of interesting, because again, now all those people are they still, is it still in their heads to go after her, or is it, once he left the hospital, did it kind of break? But I know we talked a little bit before we started this about the whole phone thing, and I'm still confused about what she did, because I know, like, in certain businesses you can forward a phone to your cell phone, but I've never seen somebody be able to do it when it's not in the same network. Like in where I work, I can transfer a call from one phone to another, but I can't transfer a call to a cell phone without some sort of manipulation going on there. And so that whole thing it kind of took me out of it a little bit, especially when they showed us the phone cord kind of wrapped around the door, keeping the door open. I just didn't understand what was going on there. Maybe we just need to suspend our disbelief on it, but it kind of took me out of the moment. Yeah, well, it could have been. I didn't really get a good look at the phone. But there's that old back in the day where in movies where they would switch phones. It was 2 phones. Mm-hmm. They would switch the talking receiver into the receiving or the hearing one, and then the other one, and vice versa. And they would tape it together so that way they could actually forward it to something else, another phone. So I was thinking that way. But I really did not look at it again. But that was my feeling, is that maybe she had like a phone and she just pushed it there, and then that way it jacked up the
volume. Yeah, the volume. Like I said, just for me, that was one moment that, and there's not a lot of them in these shows, but there's some certain moments that kind of take me out of it for a minute, and I go, okay, I buy that she's now on her cell phone and she's looking for him around the hospital. It just took me out of it for a few minutes, especially the second time watching it, going, what has she done?
Yeah. It was a little bit odd.
Yeah. And you had something there in your number 4 that I didn't bring up that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, my number 4 would be Jessica getting the call from Kilgrave, showing that he expanded his reach more over the phone with the receptionist. He was watching the monitors while talking to Jessica. The clever work of using her cell phone to try to locate him in the hospital. Then him using his ability to have the guards go after her, shooting in the hospital. Claiming that, Jessica is patient 0 of a virus that's ongoing in the hospital, making people stalk her and attack her. And
yeah, that's pretty crazy. That whole at first when I thought he was trying to, I wasn't even sure what he was trying to get at with that whole she's patient zero of a virus that's spreading throughout the hospital and you people need to kill her before she gets out. And I'm like, is this going to work? Are people going to start to logically put? I guess not. I guess his power it's just so powerful that people don't put logic to what he's saying.
Well, they're just victims of his suggestion.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it goes to the deep core of their mind saying, oh, okay, we have to stop this. And they have to do whatever they can to stop this person because she's going to infect us in some way,
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at our notes here, and I really liked that scene, and you've got some of it as well, that it's kind of my number 4, kind of your number 3, that whole scene between Jessica and Luke when he's unconscious, and she kind of lays down next to him, and she's moving her hair out of the way and laying on his chest and talking to him, and it's a really sweet moment in the middle of all this carnage and this death that's going on, and a lot of that scene was just played really well.
Yeah, that like I said, that I'll say it. It was very sweet and very honest of her, and it's something that she had never done with Luke. If you ever watched all the previous episodes,
right.
She wasn't very, very honest, but he has to be unconscious at this point.
Yeah. And I found myself getting caught up in the story. Like I'm picturing them at a bowling alley having an actual date at like a bowling alley. And I was actually picturing that in my head as she was talking to him. And I thought, man, that's powerful of the writers. That's powerful of the actress to be able to put that image kind of out there for us, and I really liked how she played that. And of course, then at the end of it, you've got it. She's like, "Yeah, you're the first person I wanted to be with," and shot in the head.
Yeah, my number 3, everybody, was Jessica talking to Luke while he was unconscious, saying that he was the first person in a long time that she thought she could be with, and along with the first person she ever shot in the head.
Yeah, yeah, and. That's good. Yeah, and not to get too spoilery, but I watched a little bit of the first episode of Luke Cage, and they talk quite a bit about that, about the shotgun to the head kind of thing, and so it was interesting that they did that callback. My number 3 is that moment when Claire's in Jessica's apartment and she's talking on the phone. She's trying to get the hospital to let her take a sick day or whatever, and Malcolm sees her through the window, and then they start to talk to each other, and they have this whole conversation about how he wants to be a social worker and how they're not special, but they keep getting caught up with these special people.
Yeah, special abilities, and everybody knows who they are.
Yeah, and it really was an interesting conversation between the two of them. And there's that moment when Malcolm says something about, "Are you like a sidekick?" And she's like, "No, I'm nobody's sidekick." So I thought that was kind of a cool little moment, and it's cool because then when you fast forward to the end of the episode, when we get to see Malcolm is there with Jessica, and he starts fielding the calls, so he's kind of starting to get involved in that way, where he's like, "Well, I want to help people. I am helping people." And Claire's like, "Yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that." And it was a really good, again, another one of those, just a testament to the writers and to the actors, that you have these two basically normal people who are caught up in this extraordinary circumstance. And I love how Malcolm used the same term that Jessica used when he talked about Kilgrave. He said, "Oh yeah, evil prick." So I thought that was kind of cool that Claire kind of got that confirmation that if she was questioning in her mind Jessica's description of his powers were, now she's got someone else who's a normal person who's kind of confirming that. In fact, I have down where we had the quotes, I had the quote when it's when Jessica is actually talking to Claire, so we'll get to that But there's it's just a really good, again, it's a testament to the writers and the actors that they're able to portray these people in these ordinary people in these extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah. That will lead me to my number 2. Yeah, it was Kilgrave's Wasteland of Bodies, where he was manipulating his father to enhance his abilities. The father with no arms, and the guy stuffing the arms in the blender. And it's so disturbing, especially the photos and Albert waking up in the middle of it. And it's like, and he's saying to her, that he's stronger and that he would make Jessica kill.
Yeah, that's another one of those moments that the first time I was caught up in the story and I bought it. You know, in fact, the first time I watched it, I think I kind of skipped over it in my head, that part, because it was just so unbelievable that he would still have the presence of mind and the ability to even articulate at that point. Yeah. You know, we don't know how long it's been, but it's been at least a few minutes that he's had his arms cut off, and not, you know, blood should be spurting, you would think, and this guy's shoving his arm into the garbage disposal, whatever, and he suddenly is able to wake up and say, and have a conversation, not just like a last words kind of thing, but it's almost like a conversation with Jessica that I'm like, so the second time watching it, that kind of took me out of it. But then there's that poignant moment, you know, where she pulls the photograph out of his pocket and she sees him and his wife and a young Kilgrave, you know, as children with their child, and she kind of gets that realization that there was a time when this was a family, when this was a real family unit, and that just got destroyed. But yeah, that was again, that was another one of those intense kind of things, and I like how at the end she circles back to that and tells Jerry to go take care of that guy because he's going to be accused of murder, you know. So yeah. And that kind of brings me to my number 2, which I think is kind of your number 1 as well, which for me, and I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on this, because for me, the actual death of Kilgrave was a little bit quick, and it was a little anticlimactic. She just kind of just breaks his neck, drops his body on the ground. It's kind of like, but I guess there was a lot in that scene, though, that led to that moment of what she did.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, definitely. You know, I'll bring it up if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, because you had a whole lot more there in your number 1 than I did.
Yeah. So, I guess we're at, you know, Kilgrave's death. The way he set up the ambush, but Jessica, along with her sister, were able to stop him. Using the people to kill themselves as a distraction did nothing. You know, he thought, just kill yourself, and his little accent, and but knowing that once she said "I love you" to her sister, the spell was broken. Kind of like has him in his grasp, and looks at her with a tear in her eye and says, you know, "I love you." It breaks that spell, kind of like what happened to Jessica, I guess, where she just kind of broke away from it. And he didn't have control over her because something in her mind triggered. So something triggered, and that was a trigger word for her sister. So and she was, you know, snapped out of it, and the spell was broken, and she winds up being able to just pick Kilgrave up and snap his neck easily because he doesn't have a hold on her, because Trish isn't there. She's not in his control anymore, and that was the person that she cared about.
That's good. I didn't catch that, but I think you're right. I think it did. Because there's a callback there to earlier in the episode when Jessica leaves Trish at the car and is going into the building when she's going when she ends up finding Kilgrave's father, and Trish says, "Well, how am I going to know when you come out if you're you or if you're being controlled?" And she said, "We need to have a code word like pickles or sardines or something." And Jessica says something I would never say, like "I love you." And then when she sends the text to Trish, she sends pickles, sardines, I love you, telling Trish that I'm not under his control. And so there at the end, I didn't catch that, but now that you've got me thinking about it, there is that moment when she looks at Trish when Kilgrave says, "Tell me that you love me," or that you're going to love me, something like that. And Jessica looks past him to Trish and says, "I love you." And then Trish starts walking toward her. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. I think that the Kilgrave spell was broken at that point on Trish, and Jessica recognized that. So she knew, I'm okay to go ahead and kill him now. And so she picks him up. And it was interesting, too, because she really makes a point to keep his mouth shut, the way she puts her hands on his head. Mm-hmm. She's not going to let him have any chance to say something more to those people just before he dies or anything. And then she, of course, twists his neck and kills him.
Yeah. What if you think about it? But this was Jessica's way of doing what Kilgrave has done to others with his powers and her to manipulate. So she manipulated Kilgrave in some way, but he did not know what she was under. That she wasn't under his spell. And
what he had thought, he knew that she wasn't under his power, but he realized that if I have control of Trish, then by remote kind of, I have control of you, Jessica, because you're not going to do anything as long as, because remember the last thing he tells, the second to the last thing he tells Trish before he has her kiss him is she says, if we ever see you again, she's going to slit her throat.
Yeah.
And so Jessica now knows, and that's when he sees the Jessica's face change, and he realizes, oh, I've got you now. My power can't get you, but I can get you through Trish. Else. Yeah, I can get you through this person. There was nobody else on the face of this earth that I could get to you through, not even Luke. She didn't even care. I mean, she cared about Luke, I'm sure, but he saw that with Trish, he could control Jessica because of that, because of him, having control over Trish. And so when Jessica, and I think, like I said, I totally think you're right, that was broken on Trish, and Jessica realizes that, and she realizes that she's okay to kill him now. And so he says, smile, and she smiles, not because she's under his control, but because she knows, I'm about to kill you. That's what I think. Yeah. I think anyway, is that's what was going on there, is that she realizes as soon as he figures out, and I don't know if he kind of turned and heard Trish walking towards them or what, but you could tell he figures it out. As soon as she grabs a hold of his face and starts to lift him up, he realizes that he's in trouble. And then so yeah, I really love that scene, and that leads right into my number one, which is Jessica calling. She calls Jerry first and tells her about the guy in the apartment, the guy who has killed Kilgrave's father, who killed Albert. And she says, you're going to do this. You're going to go to that apartment. You're going to fight. You're not going to give in to your partners. You're not going to let them bounce you out or whatever, force you out, as Jerry was saying, because this truth about her manipulating this jury has now come out, apparently. And Jessica's like, no, you're going to fight because that's what you do. And then Jessica says, this doesn't make us even, but doing something good helps with the guilt, or something to that effect. Jessica says to her, it's just doing something good helps with the guilt. And so at the end there, my number one is Jerry and her lawyer speak there in the cops' interrogation room, where the cops are going to charge Jessica with murder. And Jerry's like, no, you're not, because he compelled her to break his neck. And you can see that Jessica wants to protest, but I'm sure off screen, Jerry has told her, you need to keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything, no matter what I say. You just sit there. You just don't say anything. Let me do all the talking. And because you can see Jessica wants to protest when she says she was when Jerry says, well, maybe she was compelled to do it. And then the cops are like, no, that didn't happen. We have witnesses. And she's like, no, none of those people were drunk. I've got whatever it was, a dozen cops that shot at an unarmed female in the train, in the station, in the port station there. And they're all going to testify that they were compelled by this guy to do this. That all those people are going to be testify that they were compelled. And that's when you see that Jessica kind of goes back down into herself when Jerry mentions that if I'd had these kind of witnesses for the Slotman girl, I could have gotten her out of it as well. But I didn't have those witnesses, but I have the witnesses for you. And so we have this compelling argument that we can go in front of a jury and convince a jury that this is what happened. And so I really liked that whole thing of it's not a redemption for Jerry, but it's definitely a showing that we're going to keep seeing her moving forward. And I hope when we get to season 2 that we see more of Jerry in season 2. But that was really my number one, was that kind of end cap sequence that they gave us in the police station there.
I would love to see the history of Jerry and Jessica at this point. How did they come together? Where did they meet? How did Jerry come to represent her in some way? And what does Jessica owe her? We never got that story. So, I'm hoping in season 2 they do something, but I've already seen season 2, but I'm not going to
no spoilers now.
No, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's still a bit of a mystery, honestly. Yeah. And
obviously
I like the idea that they could drag it on.
Yeah, obviously we already know there's more going on with Jerry than just with Jessica, because she had the contacts for that lab. She had all that stuff for the genetic manipulation. So there's more going on with Jerry than just what we've seen, So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward what happens with her. And I see you've got quite a few quotes here that we'll talk about. I've only got a couple. I like that when they were in the hospital and the doctor realized that, he's one of those, and she's like, I got to get a consult, and she leaves. And so suddenly they leave Luke alone with Jessica so that she was able to have that moment between her and Claire. And then when she's, I alluded to it earlier, when Jessica is telling Claire about Luke's powers and about Kilgrave, Claire's like, I can't believe in mind control. And Jessica says, well, that's fine by me. If unbreakable skin is where you draw the line, then fine. Like why would there not be mind control? Why would somebody not be able to fly? Why would we've seen, and it's been alluded to in we've talked a little bit about it before, a couple of these episodes, and in the other Netflix shows, they've kind of alluded to the Avengers and the circumstances, the events that happened in those movies as well. And so suddenly, we have this world where you have superpowered people,
Yeah, definitely. There's so much going on too, and especially with the change and everything that's going on with Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah,
but go ahead,
bring everything in. Yeah, well, like you said, I have a few. Claire saying, "You don't scare me, and you're not my first," about Jessica and Luke being, extraordinary.
Nice, yeah.
And then Claire yelling at Jessica while they're, I believe they're in the elevator, saying, "Guilt makes people do stupid shit. I'm not guilty."
Yeah, I love that. Oh no, go ahead, because you had that quote there.
Yeah, and then Jessica says, "It's not my fault," after she says, "I'm not guilty." And then Claire's like, "See, I hate that. I want everything to be my fault, good or bad. It means I have some control." Jessica, "You don't care." Claire, stating, "Obviously, it keeps me dreaming. I could change things for people. Case in point." And she just waves towards Luke. And Jessica going, "You're in total control. You're responsible for all of this, and I blame you." And Claire is like, "Don't push it."
I love that. I almost actually put those quotes in my quotes as well. I just didn't think about it, but I love that whole scene between them and that whole thing of I blame you. Fine, you're in control. So it's like Jessica's like, well, finally somebody else take the blame for a minute. So.
The other one I have is Jessica when they're in the apartment with Luke, and after Claire is taken care of, Luke and everything through his ocular nerve and everything else. Oof, that was hard.
And that whole can you do that? Where she says, can you hold his head? And she's like, can you? She says, well, why do I need to hold his head? And she's like, well, because I have to go through the ocular nerve. And she's like, can you do that? And then Jessica's like, can you do that? And she's like, I have no idea. So it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and after that whole aftermath, Jessica goes, you want a drink? I need a drink. And Claire's like, it's 5 a.m.
My kind of woman right there. So.
And then Claire, another one from Claire saying, why would anyone call themselves Kilgrave? Why not Snuff Carcass? Now that was a classic.
Yeah. A couple other just quick things. I love that whole. We already talked a little bit about that, Jessica, when she called Jerry, and then Trish. Before the end of the episode, Trish gets all those boxes from her mom with the little note saying, "These are all the files I have, and there's more where this came from," or something like that in the note. So obviously, Trish is still trying to research what happened to Jessica, what's going on with Simpson, what does this genetic manipulation have to do with everything else. And then I didn't put in my notes, but I thought it was really cool at the end there, when we see we don't know it's Trish, we just see this person in the hoodie that looks like Jessica walking through the port station there, and we can hear the music, and we don't realize until she takes her hoodie off that she's wearing those noise canceling headphones.
Yeah.
So she can't hear Kilgrave's words, and then of course Jessica pulls the fire alarm or whatever alarm it was that went off, and all the cops start shooting, and they make it a point to show us that they keep every once in a while showing Trish with those headphones on, and then it's during, if you notice, it's during the little fight on the dock when she jumps in and tries to stop the people from killing each other, that her headphones get knocked off her head, and then Kilgrave is able to control her. So I thought that was an interesting little thing. We hadn't seen that in any of the previous episodes of somebody trying something to block out Kilgrave's words, his power,
Yeah, that was really cool. But for the fact that Jessica, throughout the whole season, she has not really been in his control, regardless.
Right.
And even at the end, she didn't even need those headphones.
Right. Well, it wasn't. It was Trish. Well, no, I think Trish was. But
Trish was.
Trish was the one with the
Jessica,
headphones. Yeah.
though.
Yeah, Trish was the one with the headphones on her head, and that's what I was talking about was when she jumps in there to try to pull the people off each other. You see, they show that. But yeah, it was just really cool that even at the end there, and you kind of mentioned this when Kilgrave talks about how his powers have been expanded and they're stronger, and he says to Jessica, walk toward me, and she starts walking toward him, and he's like, I know you're faking it. And, he says, smile, and she does that fake smile. And he's like, yeah, I know you're faking it. You can't fool me. I know. And it makes an interesting point that, well, obviously we'll never find out, is whether Kilgrave could tell. And I guess it would just be, since Jessica was the only person who didn't react to his power. It wasn't a bad bluff, even if he didn't know for sure that he wasn't controlling her. It wasn't a bad bluff to say, look, I know you're faking it. And then she finally had to stop and go, yeah, I'm faking it.
Yeah, but yeah, which shows us that she really didn't need the noise canceling headphones and blaring that music when he had all those guys coming after her in that area.
Right.
She didn't really need that. So it was her trying to bluff everything all the way through.
Right. Well, no, it wasn't. She never had the headphones on. Trish was always the. No. Jessica never had.
Yes,
Jessica never had. Okay, I'll have to go rewatch it.
You got to rewatch it, dude.
I don't think so. I think it was just Trish was the only one that had the headphones on.
No.
Because they were blue.
No, Jessica
and they were on her
had
head.
headphones when
Okay.
she went to confront him, and you hear all the music,
Okay, I'm just
and she had her hoodie on.
yeah, that was Trish. That was Trish dressed up like Jessica. Remember when she's down there, she's walking on, and all the cops are following her, and she takes the hoodie off, and we see the blonde hair, and we see the headphones, and it's Trish, and then the camera pans up, and you see Jessica on that like balcony up there, and she trips the fire alarm. And then she jumps down, and I did the comment to myself. I said, she's going to do the superhero land. And she does the superhero land right there in front of Kilgrave. And then he says, shoot her. And he points it, or when she's up, actually, he tells the cops to shoot her. And so I don't think, I think Jessica never really, the headphones were just for Trish. Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I only got to watch this one time.
Right.
After
right,
I watched it the first time a couple of years ago. So
yeah. No worries. But I'm going to be interested to see when we get to season 2. I want to kind of see if we're going to see how much more of Malcolm we're going to see. I'm sure we are going to see more of Malcolm. I don't know if we're going to see more of Robin or not. Maybe kind of her story is kind of done. Hopefully we'll see more of Jerry. Hopefully we'll see more of this investigation into Jessica's past with these files and these boxes. I hope that's not something you just kind of drop, because they made a big deal out of that guy delivering them to Trish. I mean, because it's a throwaway scene, really. If you're not going to do anything with it in the next season, there's really no reason to have that scene in the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And because they made a big deal out of showing us the note that there was more files even than what she had there. So yeah, I hope that's something that we get more of in the next season for sure. Anything else?
The only thing would be Claire taking care of Lucas, like she did with Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
That was obviously she's been around other people, so it was a callback to that, because that was the first time we actually saw Claire.
Yeah,
she was brought into this universe because of Matt Murdock.
Right.
She cares for these people, and she's willing to help in any way, and willing to try anything to save them. And
yeah, I really liked
different.
Exactly. I really liked it. It was kind of a funny line, but at the same time, it was kind of poignant in the fact that when she says that we're not taking you to my apartment, I've been there, done that, lost my lease, and so apparently she wasn't able to go back to that apartment after some of the things that happened with Daredevil. So, and I had to go back and watch it again to see, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see more of Rosario Dawson and see that character, because I really like this idea, and we get some of it in the comic books, but we don't get a lot of it in the comic books, of the ordinary person who's wrapped up with these extraordinary characters. Yeah. Unless they're the man in the chair, like with Micro. But even the man in the chair, even if he doesn't have powers, he still has something going. He's not just a normal person who's just been swept up into this world. And we don't get to see a lot of that. We see Aunt May briefly in Spider-Man stuff. We see Pepper Potts every once in a while, but even Pepper Potts has her own things going on. So we just don't get a lot of these common people swept up into, and I'd like to see more of that, of more people that we can relate to, I guess is a
regular normal people mixed in with what's going on in these events. Definitely Pepper Potts, and definitely Micro, and everybody else. Even Claire, she's not right now. She's spanned over Jessica Jones, Matt Murdock, Luke Cage.
And does she show up in Defenders? I haven't watched Defenders, but
she's there too, and she helps out. She's a prominent character in the Netflix series.
I think Punisher is the only one that she hasn't actually crossed over into yet, and I think that's just because of scheduling reasons. I don't think it's necessarily because of any kind of writing kind of thing.
Yeah, but regardless, she's there and she knows of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And this is its own universe if you think about it in comparison to the regular MCU. So
Right.
the regular MCU hasn't even really acknowledged any of these Netflix shows.
No, and that's why I was a little disappointed, and I didn't know if maybe it was copyright questions. And we kind of had this conversation a few episodes ago when Luke Cage was talking about the Star Spangled Guy and the big green guy. Like, they wouldn't actually say Captain America or Hulk. They didn't actually say those names. They had to say some sort of euphemism for who they were, and I didn't know if that was like I said, I didn't know if that was just a coincidence or if that was a writing choice that they had made or what. But it did stand out to me anyway that they wouldn't actually come out and say Captain America or Hulk,
Iron Man or Hulk or anything.
Iron Man, yeah. So interesting stuff.
I would love to see that all integrated at some point. They should really integrate these characters into the regular MCU. Not even for like a full movie. They could just do a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be perfect for me. I would love it because back in the day we had Captain America on TV.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Hulk. We had Daredevil in the Hulk, and we had Thor in the Hulk. So it should be, and I'm hoping that Disney / Marvel will actually change all this, and we get what we want, which is a whole universe. There's still talks about getting the X-Men in and everything else in the regular MCU. Those are great characters, but to expand on it, you already have a plethora of characters already in the Netflix series that could merge over. They don't have to be there predominantly. They could just be there. Hey, we're in this area. Oh, okay. Hi, and then they show up.
It's one of those things like we used to talk about this. I remember years and years ago when we talked. It was DC more than anything else that we used to comment about the fact that if you have Superman, why do you need all these other superheroes? And so they had to bring in bigger and badder villains and stuff. And so in some ways, I wonder if I don't want them to bring. I would rather go the way that you said, have these characters show up in cameos in the cinematic universe. I don't need to see the cinematic heroes coming into this universe because these feel like so much smaller scale stories and smaller scale characters that I don't need Captain America to come in and fight Punisher. I don't need maybe Spider-Man would be cool because he's kind of more local. He does more local kind of things, but more. It seems like the Avengers, the X-Men, they're involved in these global world things, whereas the shows that we have here on Netflix are more about like this was Kilgrave's fight with Jessica. His struggle with her was primarily the main thing of the thing. He wasn't trying to control the entire world or the entire city. He was just trying to control Jessica. With Punisher, we had him doing his thing. And so I'm interested to see Luke Cage. What his small story is going to be. I want to see these small stories on the small screen. I don't need to see a big worldwide kind of thing, at least for me.
Well, I'm also curious about the whole Snap thing. With Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
How would that affect the Netflix series?
Yeah, exactly. Are they gonna because we know that the next movie is Ant-Man and Wasp, and that's on. I'm going to go see that tomorrow, actually. So that's the next movie that's coming out, but it takes place. I'm assuming anyway, it takes place before the end of Infinity War. Maybe it's happening at the same time, or
no.
what? Or
they clearly state that it happens before Infinity War.
Right, but I wouldn't be surprised, and this isn't a spoiler because I haven't seen the movie yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the end of Ant-Man and Wasp has people, going into dust at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp.
Meaning that it happens right before that.
Right,
whole,
right before or during, like I said, in the same kind of time frame, kind of thing, And then we know, I think the next movie is the Captain Marvel movie. Is that the
yeah? That's in 2019.
Right, and that's going to be
before Infinity War 2.
Right, and so the Captain Marvel and the Captain Marvel one, from what I understand, is going to go back to like the 90s or the 80s and 90s, basically going to set up the character of Captain Marvel for Infinity War Part 2, and then we're going to see her come into Infinity War Part 2 and hopefully save the day. I don't know. I'm reaching, but Infinity War is it slated for 2019 also?
I think so.
Okay.
And
Part 2.
It's supposed to be after Captain
Marvel. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of cool stuff happening with the Marvel and with movies, and I just went and saw Tag the other day, and it's really good. It's really funny. But
yeah, well, for all we know, they could have Deadpool. At the end.
Yeah. Yeah, now it'd be interesting because he's another one of those ones that's had bigger actions and bigger events happening, but we haven't really, they had a couple quick clips of some of the X-Men not actually in Deadpool 2, but clips from X-Men movies in Deadpool 2, so which was kind of cool, but that's all we've got. That's everything for Jessica Jones, right?
That's pretty much what it is. There's a lot of talk going on in comics. You got one?
I do, and I saw this article, and I'd be excited to see this. I love the Moon Knight character, and it probably will never happen. It's probably just one of those dream things. But Ross Marquand was quoted as saying that he would love to play the Mark Spector character in Moon Knight in some sort of fashion, whether it be big screen, little screen, whatever. And I think that would be a cool character to see developed, because I loved the Moon Knight character in the 80s. I think the 80s when it didn't really touch on the mental illness part of it so much. I mean, there was a little bit of it that I remember, but it wasn't until the 2000s they really made that character a splintered psyche kind of character. And I think we haven't seen that done too well in movies yet. So I'll be interested to see if that project can ever come to be. And so yeah, Moon Knight is a character that I really liked in the 80s, and I've got the collected editions of the latest some of the latest stuff that came out. So we'll see where they go from there.
Yeah, the only thing I have is Jared Leto was looked at for Morbius, the living vampire.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I like Jared Leto. Wasn't a great Joker to me.
I wasn't a fan of that Joker, but there's a lot of things with that DC universe that's
yeah, they need to learn a lot. I love DC, the DC stuff that comes out, and Ben and I always talk about it. And I liked what was it, Batman Ninja, or he was in Japan.
The Lego Batman? Oh no.
No.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the Ninja Batman or Batman Ninja. I saw it in Best Buy. I think a couple weeks ago or something. I think I saw the discs or something.
I wanted buying it on Steelbook because I really enjoyed it because it was classical Japanime,
right?
And it had that whole thing of wow, like old big robots and everything else in this little story, and it made sense in some way. It was kind of like, if you look at it from American style, it's like, oh, this is kind of goofy, but to me, I enjoyed it just because the story had a lot involved with it, so I enjoyed it as it was, and I liked the animation in it, especially with all the Batman stuff. Now, mind you, I'm predominantly Marvel, but I do like watching, The Flash and Batman and all that stuff. And Ben Beck does his own thing with the DC universe when it comes to, you know,
Yeah,
his
yeah,
podcast. You know,
right.
I love
yeah.
that. You know,
Yeah, and
I love listening to Ben too.
Yeah, I just finished listening to him and Kristen do their latest Lost Revisited podcast. That was really good. That covered White Rabbit and House of the Rising Sun. Really, really two good episodes, and I look forward to the next one. Should be in a couple of weeks, I think. So I've got to watch those and try to send them some feedback in there. But they're doing that's a great podcast. If anybody loves Lost, jump on that on the rewatch that they're doing.
Yeah, jump on that stuff, everybody. Listen to the Lost podcast. That's a next level podcast / Podcastica compilation.
Yeah, joint venture.
It's a joint venture, just like Steve stated, and listen to it if you're a Lost fan.
If you want to submit your theories and feedback, you can go to our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/panels2pixels, and that's TO spelled out, panels 2 pixels. And I noticed we've had quite a few more likes this week. We've got about 24 followers, so I think we're
awesome.
We're getting better. And you can email us at panels2pixels, again. 2 is spelled out, TO, 1, the number 1, at gmail.com. Where else can listeners hear us, Mark?
Well, I'm a co-host for the Walking Dead Talk Through with Brian Malash on Golden Spiral Media, so you might be hearing me more on the Walking Dead Talk Through for Fear the Walking Dead come August when we pick up again. And
you can hear me right here, of course, and I do submit quite a bit of audio feedback to various other podcasts, and I'm looking forward. I like to talk about any kind of good TV shows or movies. So,
yeah. So everybody out there, if anybody wants Steve, take him on. Come on, man. Spread the wealth. Spread the love, man. You know, it's like, I love Steve. He works well. He does great. He has great opinions, and he loves to research this stuff. So, pick him up if you need to, and that's including anybody out there for, Strange Indeed, some of the, the Next Level Podcast Network. Come on, spread the love.
Sounds good.
So, with that, thanks everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. Good night, everybody.
Good night.